Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about the quadratic formula, and I hate to tell you this, but this formula is going to live rent-free in your head until you're at least 40, swear. But this is the formula. You do need to memorize it, especially if you plan on taking any standardized tests like the SAT or the ACT. X equals negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that divided by 2a. Now, you'll see that the b squared minus 4ac is in a different color. That's because it's what we call our discriminant. And you'll be introduced to the discriminant and how it works and how you can tell your solutions a little bit later. But the reason I'm introducing it to you now is because always start your quadratic formula with the discriminant, because that's where I see the most mistakes. So you want to prevent any mistakes. Remember, standard form is ax squared bx c. You want to put your highest exponent first and then go in order. So let's take a peek at this and go ahead and do our quadratic formula. All right, so for this first one, it's already nice and lined up for us. This is our a, this is our b, and this is our c. Now, remember I said start with your discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. b squared minus 4ac. So we say, okay, b squared minus 4ac. So b is 4. Negative 4, quantity negative 4 squared, minus 4 times 1 times negative 45. Okay, so quantity negative 4 squared is going to be 16. Now, do not just bring down this minus sign, because you want to look, if you have two negatives here, negative times a negative is a positive, so it's plus. If you have one negative between all three of these, then it's a negative. Or if you have three negatives between all of those, it's negative. So don't just bring it down, because that's where I see a lot of mistakes. All right, so then we have 4 times 45, which gives us 180. Add those together, we get 196. Okay, so now that we have our discriminant, we're ready to use our quadratic formula. X equals negative b. So x equals negative b, and our b is negative 4, so negative 4, plus minus the square root, and we've already figured all that out. It's our discriminant, which is 196. All divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Okay, so now that we have that, remember a double negative is just a positive. So x equals positive 4 plus minus. Now the square root of 196, that's 14. So 4 plus minus 14 over 2. So we have two equations here, or two solutions here, I should say. We have x equals 4 plus 14 over 2, and we have x equals 4 minus 14 over 2. Up here we get 18 over 2, which equals 9. Now down here we get negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. So we have two solutions here, 9 and negative 5. Now if you go and you look back at this original one, x squared minus 4x minus 45 equals 0. If we could factor it, because we had two real rational numbers here. So x, this tells me different signs. And so I have a plus and a minus. And if I have a minus 9 and a positive 5, that gives me 45. Multiplied together, that gives me 45. But added together, that gives me negative 4. Use my zero product property, and we get x minus 9 equals 0. Which, add 9 to both sides, we get x equals positive 9. X plus 5 equals 0. Minus 5 from both sides, and you get x equals negative 5. You'll find when you're using your zero product property that it's always just the opposite of what these are. And you'll see that's the exact same thing we came up with using our quadratic formula. So the neat thing about the quadratic formula is that it will always work. It's never going to fail you. You can use it on anything. But sometimes, like in this case, it's a little bit of overkill because we were able to factor it a lot easier. However, the quadratic formula, you can use it every time. So let's try another one. Now, before we go using the quadratic formula, you have to set it equal to 0. Remember, I said if you have like x squared anywhere in your problem, it's generally a good idea to set it equal to 0 if you're not sure what to do, because that will at least help you get somewhere. If not factoring, then you could at least use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to minus 28 from both sides. So this leaves me with 3x squared minus 5x minus 28 equals 0. So there's my a, b, and c. Remember, we start with our discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So we've got b squared minus 4ac. We got negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 28. All right, quantity -5 squared is going to be positive 25. You should never have a negative in the front here because you're squaring it. Now, negative times a negative, don't just bring down that negative sign. Negative times a negative is a positive. And then we have 12 times 28 gives me 336. So we've got 336. And then if we add those together, we get 361. Okay, so now that we have our discriminant, we are ready to use our quadratic formula. X equals negative b. And remember, we're using this thing now. Once we've cleaned it up, we want to use this one. Don't use this back up here because it's not in order. So x equals negative b, and our b is -5. So -5 plus minus the square root of our discriminant, which is 361, all divided by 2 times our a, which is 3. So let's do some cleanup here. We have -5, which is +5, plus minus, and the square root of 361, that's actually a perfect square. It's 19 minus 6. All right, so we have two answers, two solutions to this equation. We have 5 minus 19 over 6, and we have x equals 5 plus 19 over 6. So that gives us -14 over 6, which is -7 over 3. And over here we get 5, so 24 over 6, which equals 4. So we have two solutions here, and we should have two solutions, or if we don't, we should know why. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit better about the quadratic formula. Like I said, always start with your discriminant because that's where I see the most mistakes, and then it makes it nice and easy. You don't have to keep rewriting everything. All right, we'll see you next time.